CIA asset who photographed Putin's secrets on his Moscow desk was key source for the Golden Shower's anti-Donald Trump dossier, claims Kremlin expert Oleg Smolenkov has been widely named in Russia as the CIA asset who was exfiltrated last year by the agency amid fears he was in danger. A Russian anti-corruption campaigner says he believes Smolenkov was also the source of part of the notorious Golden Shower's dossier. The dossier was from Christopher Steele, a former British spy, who detailed what a senior member of Putin's administration told a trusted compatriot. Their official said that Putin had ordered interference in the 2016 election and wanted to swing the result to Donald Trump. The dossier said he named Yuri Ushakov, Smolenkov's boss, as advising Putin and being opposed to the interference effort. Russian campaigner Ilya Shumanov, a Kremlin expert, says Smolenkov would have been in a position to know and was likely to be Steele's source. A series of reports in Moscow have said that Smolenkov, 50, had access to Putin's secrets. Own analysts said that the way he was not publicly accused of treason after vanishing in May 2017 with his family showed what a significant asset he was. By Will Stewart in Moscow for DailyMail.com, published 22:48 British Summer Time, the 11th of September 2019, updated 1:17 British Summer Time, the 12th of September 2019. The CIA's Kremlin mole, whose existence was revealed this week, could have been a source for the now notorious Christopher Steele dossier on Donald Trump, a Russian campaigner has claimed. Oleg Smolenkov has been widely named in Russia as the CIA asset who was exfiltrated last year by the agency amid fears he was in danger. Then lived outside Washington, D.C. under his own name for a year before being outed. He has been said to have been so close to Vladimir Putin that he could photograph secret documents on the Kremlin strongman's desk, and provided key intelligence about Russia's attempts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. The Kremlin foreign minister has denied there was a mole and claimed the proof was that there was no election interference. Now leading Moscow anti-corruption campaigner Ilya Shumanov, Deputy Director General of Transparency International in Russia, has said that he believes Smolenkov could have been one of the sources for the dossier, although not of its most infamous claim. The dossier contained unverified information that Trump was vulnerable to blackmail from Russia, having ordered golden showers with prostitutes during a 2013 trip to Moscow for the Miss Universe pageant. It alleged the Russian government was holding a compromat sex tape and claimed Trump ordered the prostitutes to urinate on a Moscow hotel bed once slept on by Barack and Michelle Obama. The dossier was drawn up by former British spy Christopher Steele, and is still the subject of a civil lawsuit. The dossier had been seized upon by Trump's detractors as evidence that Putin had interfered in the election, and by his supporters of proof of a political attack by Washington establishment forces backing Hillary Clinton. Dossier author, former British spy Christopher Steele provided the controversial dossier of claims about Trump's interactions with Russia. It was ultimately paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign, although he denies knowing who funded it. Notorious claim. The Steele dossier alleges that Russia had a compromat tape of Trump ordering prostitutes to urinate on a bed in Moscow, taken at the same time as he was in the city of the 2013 Miss Universe Gala. Center of the claims. The CIA is said to have had a mole at the heart of Vladimir Putin's Kremlin until May 2017. Special counsel Robert Mueller did not find evidence to substantiate the outlandish claims in his exhaustive report, but its contents and how they came to be used by the FBI and CIA remain under investigation, including by U.S. attorney tasked specially by Attorney General Bill Barr. Shumanov, an anti-corruption campaigner, suggested in an online post that there were close parallels between how Steele describes one of his sources for the Golden Showers dossier and what has been said in Moscow about Smolenkov. He suggests Smolenkov was a source for a part of the dossier about Putin's alleged plans to swing the election to Trump. Smolenkov, 50, was an aide to Yuri Ushakov, first at the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C. In the early 2000s, Ushakov was Kremlin ambassador to the U.S. from 1999 to 2008, and then in the Kremlin, where Ushakov was seen as Putin's most powerful foreign affairs advisor. In a part of the dossier dated September 14, 2016, it says that the Kremlin has ordered silence on claims which had first broken in the Washington Post on September 5 that U.S. intelligence and the FBI were looking at whether the Russians were interfering in the presidential election. Steele writes, speaking on confidence to a trusted compatriot in mid-September 2016, a senior member of the Russian presidential administration (B.A.C.) commented on the political fallout from recent Western media revelations about Moscow's intervention in favor of Donald Trump and against Hillary Clinton in the U.S. presidential election. The B.A.C. official reported that the issue had become incredibly sensitive and that President Putin had issued direct orders that Kremlin and government insiders should not discuss it in public or even in private. The official confirmed from direct knowledge that the gist of the allegations was true, Steele wrote, and said that had been a split among three expert groups on the interference. On one side had been the Russian ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyuk, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, together with an independent and informal network run by presidential foreign policy advisor Yuri Ushakov. Shumanov posted, "It is probably worth recalling that the name Yuri Ushakov was mentioned once in the dossier about the alleged interference of Russia in the U.S. election of former MI6 agent Christopher Steele." Heart of the Kremlin, Oleg Smolenkov was an aide to Yuri Ushakov, first at the Russian embassy in Moscow, then in Moscow. Ushakov has been a foreign affairs advisor to Vladimir Putin for many years, and they were seen side by side in 2013. Oleg Smolenkov carried this bound and embossed notebook labeled "Administration of the President of the Russian Federation." A family member posted on social media. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov claims a CIA mole planted at a high level inside the Russian government unearthed details of the Kremlin's election meddling. The dossier said that Ushakov was an informal coordinator of one of the expert groups, along with Russian ambassador to the United States Kislyuk and the Russian Foreign Ministry. Most importantly, Christopher Steele received this information in 2016 from a senior official in the presidential administration of the Russian Federation. Fears for Russian mole after poison attack in Britain. Intelligence officials fear that the mole who was extracted from Moscow may still be under threat in the United States. Those fears appear well founded after another former Russian spy, Sergei Skripal, was poisoned in Britain in March last year. Two Russian assassins smeared the nerve agent Novichok on Skripal's front door in Salisbury after flying over from Moscow. UK authorities say Sergei and his daughter Yulia Skripal were taken seriously ill but both survived. However, another woman died after she was accidentally exposed to the Soviet-era nerve agent. Britain accused the Kremlin and its GRU intelligence chiefs of ordering the attack, sparking a wave of diplomatic expulsions. UK police identified two men, Alexander Petrov and Ruslan Boshirov, as the hitmen, and the government said Putin was ultimately responsible for the poisonings, but Russia's government has denied all involvement, and the two men claimed in a bizarre interview that they were only there to see Salisbury's cathedral. Skripal was a Russian military intelligence officer who was convicted of spying for Britain. He was imprisoned in Russia and released as part of a spy swap with the West, which took place in Vienna in 2010. His current whereabouts are unknown. In 2006, another former Russian agent, Alexander Litvinenko, was killed by a radioactive poison at a London hotel. A public inquiry concluded that he had been murdered by Russian intelligence, likely with the approval of President Vladimir Putin. Similarly, Britain named two suspects, but the Kremlin denied everything. The anti-corruption campaigner said, "A person familiar with the course of internal consultations should have been in one of the expert groups and worked in the Kremlin." Only now, 3 years after those events, has it become clear that this person could well have been Oleg Smolenkov, who at that time was working in the office of the assistant to the president of the Russian Federation in charge of foreign policy, Yuri Ushakov. Before his disappearance, he held the position of chief counselor in Ushakov's office. Whether Shumanov is correct remains to be seen. His identity as the CIA's mole has been widely reported in Moscow but not confirmed in Washington. However, the New York Times reported that the Kremlin source used by the CIA had been instrumental in concluding that Putin ordered the disruption of the 2016 election and wanted Trump elected. That would track closely with what Steele wrote about his source's information. There is little doubt Smolenkov was a key Kremlin figure. He was known to carry a gold-embossed notebook marked "Administration of the President of the Russian Federation." Vedomosti newspaper in Moscow reported Wednesday that he had access to quite sensitive information, according to a source with Secret Services links. This included information of the intelligence services. He had the potential to inflict quite significant damage to Russia. It was reported Smolenkov has not been seen at his $925,000 home in Stafford, VA, since CNN reported that there had been a CIA mole at the heart of the Putin regime. It is not the first time he has vanished. He had previously gone missing in May 2017, a month after Trump hosted Kislyak and Sergei Lavrov, Putin's foreign minister, in the Oval Office. Smolenkov went to Montenegro with his family after obtaining permission from his management and registering his vacation with the Secret Services and other officials. He did not return and switched off all means of communication, including private phones and emails, said Vedomosti, citing its sources. But even then his acquaintances did not suppose that Smolenkov could be a CIA agent. Practically everyone thought that something bad happened to him or an accident. Russia's investigative committee filed a criminal lawsuit under Article 105, murder, into his disappearance. The FSB and SVR intelligence agencies then began a major search for the official. It was they who established his location in Washington, where he still lives under the protection of American intelligence services, says Vedomosti's source. Smolenkov and his second wife, Antonia, had not used false identities, and their neighbors knew that they and the 3 children were Russian. Russian foreign affairs expert Vladimir Frolov said hiring Smolenkov as a young diplomat was a classic of espionage and a big success for the CIA. It was clear to Russian intelligence in 2017 that he had been a CIA mole, but the usual step of accusing him of treason in his absence was not taken. He said, "There is no doubt that FSB's counterintelligence understood everything back in 2017 when the official went missing in Montenegro with his wife and 3 children," said Frolov. The absence of a criminal lawsuit under state treason indicates that conducting procedural actions in this case implied big inconveniences for some influential individuals. The house in Stafford, Virginia, of alleged spy Oleg Smolenkov, an alleged high-level mole in the Russian government who had confirmed Vladimir Putin's direct role in interfering in the 2016 presidential election. Dingy, the former home of the Smolenkov family, is 9 miles north of the Kremlin and a far cry from their Virginia 6-bedroom spread. The backyard of the Virginia home is a far cry from his home in a Moscow tower. The $925,000 property also comes with a home movie theater. The family vanished Monday. He appeared to be alluding to Smolenkov's link to Ushakov, who in turn is closely allied to Putin. The fact that Smolenkov has been living in US under his own name is somewhat strange for the CIA, he said. However, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov rubbished the claims that there was a mole, and that it was Smolenkov. As the multiplication of slander about us, he told Interfax news agency, he couldn't have had any role in so-called election meddling because there was no meddling. There were also claims in Moscow that Smolenkov felt he was underpaid when he was a Russian diplomat. A former Moscow colleague said of him, "I remember that in a conversation with me Oleg Borisovich, Smolenkov once complained that he did not see any prospects. He saw his remuneration as small," said the colleague, according to a report in the Moscow media. It is unclear when his alleged recruitment took place, and nor is it known if money was a factor in persuading him to be a double agent. A previous report in Russia had said he drank slightly more than the average. CNN and the New York Times have said that the CIA had its asset close to Putin for a decade, having recruited him even before that. Read more. Let's block ads. Why?